Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes. When King County Superior Court Judge Richard Jones retreats to his private chambers, his thoughts turn not to the Green River Killer, but to the victims' families who still seek him out.
They come up and they say the victim family member's name, the count number, and then they go on to say thank you for the words that have been expressed because it restored their dignity and made them seem like human beings.
And nearly every week, there's a letter.
And one of the most profound statements that she made was, I have traveled through anger and walked down the long path to forgiveness. Every bit of that journey was allowed in your courtroom. Thank you.
When Gary Ridgway was arrested 20 years after the height of the Green River murders, Judge Jones was as shocked as anyone. And when he got the case, he was drawn into an unprecedented web of secrecy, monitoring Ridgway's move from the jail to the Green River Task Force headquarters and Ridgway's morbid field trips in which he showed detectives where he dumped bodies of women still unaccounted for years later.
People that I work with would come up and ask me specific questions point blank about where was Gary Ridgway? Was Gary Ridgway going to plead guilty? And it was on a non-stop basis.
A statement of defendant on plea of guilty.
Did you talk to your family about it?
No.
No one?
I specifically told my family not to ask me questions about the Ridgway case.
I killed some of them outside.
He kept it all to himself.
Stalking and hunting.
Even as he listened to Ridgway's horrific confessions, he came to know the killer well.
Your mindset that night, I gotta kill somebody?
Yeah.
Yet remains perplexed by what compelled Ridgway to commit his crimes.
I don't think we'll ever have that answer. The only person who would ever have that information would be Gary Ridgway himself. And I want you to turn around and just scan the audience right now.
But at sentencing, Judge Jones could and did make Ridgway face his legacy of death.
Mr. Ridgway, those are the family and friends of the people that you killed. The reason I had Mr. Ridgway turn around was to make sure that he had a chance to see visually what the impact was and have an impression upon his mind as he went down into a cell and to keep that with him for the balance of his life.
But Jones did not want the sentencing to be all about Ridgway.
Please know the women you killed were not throwaways or pieces of candy in a dish placed upon this planet for the sole purpose of satisfying your murderous desires.
Dolores Laverne Williams, Gail
He was
Matthews,
determined to restore dignity to the 48 victims. The judge began by asking for 48 seconds of silence.
Give some level of decency to the loss of life. It wasn't just mere prostitutes who had died. These were young women who had been misguided at the point in time, who had misdirection.
Giselle Lavorne.
She was murdered by that animal sitting over there.
If he has shed any tears, it's only for himself.
May her soul and the soul of the other 47 victims rest in peace, and I hope you never find peace.
And the judge urged family members to leave their anger in the courtroom.
Now, I'm not asking them or telling anybody that they have to go out and tell Gary Ridgway, I forgive you, because that's extraordinarily difficult under those circumstances. But when they hear it from the bench, because those folks looking at their faces, I can tell you, they were desperately, desperately looking for words of direction of where they go from that point in time. This brings this matter to a close.
For Judge Jones, the Green River case isn't over. It affects him each day as he leaves his courtroom, carrying with him a renewed sense of compassion and a respect for the limitations of the justice system.
I think one of the things that people come to courts looking for are answers. And merely because you come to court doesn't mean that you'll have an answer. A decision will be made, but it may not be the answer. In this particular case, a decision was made for Gary Ridgway, but we don't have answers about Mr. Ridgway.